Hi, my name is Dr. Erica Steele, and this video I'm going to talk about education as a naturopath and the journey that I took to become a naturopath, because a lot of times people will ask me about this journey, and so I thought I'd make a video to explain it. So I knew from an early age that I was going to be a doctor. I ran around labs with my mother, who was going to school. She was a nursing student and was considering going on to become a doctor. So I ran around labs. I went to various classes with her at a really young age. We sat in organic chemistry classes and even answered questions to the teacher's shock. So the sciences were really ingrained in my knowledge and my understanding, and that's why it became really very easy for me. As a part of her science education, she also had to do labs, and so I also had the advantage of running around labs with her as well. And so learning that there was the science that you could prove or disprove, which is really what fueled my passion for the scientific method. As a really very curious person, and as a person who was very spiritually led from God, I looked at all of the various types of doctors to kind of understand which type of practice resonated with me the best. So, of course, I started with medical doctors and looked at allopathic doctors and what they did and how they originated, etc. I didn't resonate with the medication, because with that there was chemical reactions that could potentially harm the person. Now, my mother was also not well and experienced a mental breakdown. And so I grew up also watching her use a lot of medication, and that medication may or may not have helped the situation. Of course, there are many times where certain people need medication to stabilize a person. However, I didn't want to be the one prescribing that, because I didn't see that that was the only way. My mother also was practicing Native American, and so we also grew up doing a lot of spiritual work. We grew up doing also acupuncture and Reiki attunements and rebirthing, and so she really exposed me to a lot of the types of healthcare that are not necessarily scientifically proven per se, but we know that they work. I looked on to becoming a chiropractor. I started my career as a massage therapist, so that seemed like it would be an appropriate next step. But I didn't find chiropractic to be a complete medicine. I felt like it was only a practice of relieving subluxations of the vertebrae, and although that relieves the impingements on the nervous system and creates various different health-related impact as a result of that, it just didn't resonate with me like I wanted it to. I looked on to becoming an osteopath and really loved Dr. Andrew Still, who's the founder of osteopathic medicine. I really loved his approach to healthcare. I really believed in his holistic aspect. And again, being a massage therapist, that really inspired me, all those impingements, but then also having that whole health, holistic approach was really very fascinating. However, the osteopaths, they made an agreement far before I even came into the world to align with the American Medical Association, and therefore prescribed a lot of drugs, and some of their practices were really whitewashed out of their school. And so the purity of osteopathy had really been kind of stripped away, and so it really didn't resonate with me. I thought also about becoming a psychologist at one point, and although I appreciate the study of the mind and all the nuances to the mind, I felt that it really left off the physical manifestations of those diseases. growing up with my mother, I really saw the impact of both mental as well as emotional and also physical manifestations of disease. So I didn't really see it as a complete system, only really focused on one aspect. And then finally, I got to naturopathy. And I studied Dr. Benedict Lust, who was the founder of naturopathy. And I was just so inspired by his belief that the body could heal itself. And he was very passionate and very much about integrity and very much about standing for what he believed in. He was arrested for practicing medicine without a license multiple times before he was finally able to crusade Congress to define what naturopathy is back in the 30s. And so I really believed in him and believed in his practice and really sought to become a naturopath that, you know, he would have trained or he would have been associated with. Because he left, I believe, in the 40s, or actually the 50s, I believe. And so I looked into naturopathy and I found these two distinct styles of naturopathy that were being practiced. One style was more true to Dr. Benedict Lust. It was naturecure. It studied prevention and treating the cause and all the things in naturopathy that I really believed in. Doctor being teacher and all of the fundamental aspects of naturopathy that I really appreciated. Then there was this other group of naturopaths known as the Naturopathic Medical Doctors. They kind of a rogue group broke off and formed these other naturopathic medical schools. You may be familiar with some of those. They're the 6 major ones in our country now. And so while I understood their drive to create legitimacy, their beginning was not in integrity, and they kind of stole a lot of the aspects of naturopathy, but then also wanted to strive for acceptance. So then combined certain aspects of allopathy to prescribe drugs and do surgery. Minor surgeries at that. So it really was kind of this hybrid of naturopathy and allopathy, which I didn't agree with. I really agreed with the purity of naturopathy. If I wanted to be an allopath, I would have gone to allopathic school. I didn't feel like crossing those modalities really made a whole lot of sense. And so I chose to go to University of Natural Medicine. Now, they are not an accredited school. So a lot of times I get a lot of flack because they're not accredited school. So at the time, naturopaths, and by the time I mean 50s, 60s, 70s, in that era of time, naturopaths were definitely not in high standing. We didn't have a lot of political backing, a lot of political support. We were considered kind of heretics. And there was a lot of fear within our profession to actually stand out and be seen. And in some cases, there's still that fear of being seen and being ridiculed in the public eye. And that's a long-standing, feud that's gone back and forth between homeopaths and allopaths, since, really the inception of medicine, which we can talk about in a later video. So I chose to go to this school, University of Natural Medicine. I believed in the dean. I believed in his vision. I believe he's an MD and has several other credentials behind his name. And he really brought a lot of the pioneers, Dr. Lawrence Wilson as well, and a lot of really incredible professors together. My teachers were, Constantine Herring. They were, my books, some of my textbooks for 1800s, different professors who documented how to cure, who documented how to heal. And it was really that, as well as the combination of the strong laboratory training, that really drew me to that particular school. Because I grew up around sciences and the hard sciences, I really wanted to be a part of laboratory. I wanted to be able to prove or disprove, what we knew to be true in natural health care. And that's what I work towards even to this day. So I chose that school, even with the understanding that they were not accredited and what that would mean. But I was really led to go to that school. I one time lived in Palm Springs, and I went to a seminar for the naturopathy schools, and all the presidents were there, and they were doing kind of a panel discussion. And I remember, raising my hand and asking a question, and I was really shot down how my question was answered. And it didn't feel as though I was really a part of, or that it really made sense. Like the schooling and the education did not resonate with me on a deep level. And I was looking for and open for some reassurance and really a sign, and I got it that day. So I went on to study at the University of Natural Medicine. Now, we did a hybrid training, and what that means is it's a part distance education, but then also there's a lot of hands-on that you have to do. So I trained with doctors all over the country. I was very blessed to be able to go and do gross anatomy training with an amazing PhD in the University of South Florida School of Medicine. I was really blessed to go train with some of the Amish healers, as well as Dr. Michael Walden, in immunology and various different protocols for that. Over the course of the time that I've been in practice, I've trained with Dr. Grisanti. He's a chiropractor who's also a diplomat in functional medicine. He's got all these in nutrition. He's got all these letters. Dr. Wayne Sedano, Dr. Dickon Weatherby, who's also another naturopath. So I've really been able to train with some of the top doctors in their field and really learn integrative functional medicine and laboratory diagnostics the way that I wanted to learn it. And so because of that, I've really honed a craft to treatment that I'm really very proud of. And so I wanted to really connect with the naturopaths of, the era of time of Benedict Lust, and really bring to light and bring in the modern era their practice and what their practice would look like had they would have been around these days. So there's a purity to it. So we do body, mind, spirit, we do nutrition, we really get to the cause. So it's not just about you coming in, and let's say if a person has high hypertension or glucose issues, right? We're not going to just give them a pill, a supplement to fix it, because that's not going to fix it. And that's no different than allopathic medicine. It's like a pill for every ill. And so I wanted to really get to the root cause. And that means walking a journey through with patients and figuring out exactly what's going on. Is it their lack of water? Is it their increased stress? Is it their lifestyle? Is it their environment? Is it their mindset? Is it their emotions? What is it that is driving the bus for their body to be telling them, hey, we need to pay attention? Is it on a genetic level? So I also trained with Dr. Robert Miller in methyl genetics. So I've been able to train with a lot of top-notch doctors and be able to really study this and study healing in a way that was in high integrity, and it really resonated with me, not just so that my piece of paper said this school or that school. I at one point thought, I'll go to X school so that I'm accepted in healthcare. And I decided that that's not the path for me. I decided that I'm going to choose the path that's in the highest good for me, so that I am living in my true power and my true essence, and it's resonating with me on a deep level, spiritually, mentally, and emotionally, because honestly, I want to be the person and the change that I want to see in this world. So of course, I live in Virginia. Virginia is an unlicensed state. There's a lot of static back and forth about, if you are a real doctor, not a real doctor. And at this point, I know in my heart and in my soul, doctor in Latin means teacher. And so that is what I exhibit and what I do and what I show up to do every single day is teach people their bodies and how to heal. And so I really want to continue that crusade and continue to educate people on the truth of naturopathy and how naturopathy is really being presented in our world in a very pure form. And so hopefully this video has helped to kind of expel some of that, to help understand not only just the political side of our field, but also understand from my perspective why I chose to go down this path. Because as a pioneer, it's not always easy to be ridiculed. It's not always easy to have to stand up and stand for something that you so hardly believe, that you so believe in, and then have people say things and do things, etc., to kind of combat what you're doing. But I wanted to kind of give a video so that you guys understood what a naturopath is, a true naturopath, not, an allopath combined with a naturopath, but a true to life, true to form naturopath who practices nature cure, who practices body healing, who practices every single day holistic healthcare to be able to teach the people that trust them and follow them. So my name is Dr. Erica Steele with Holistic Family Practice, and we help families live naturally.